tenure there. And, but it was important that we had student teachers and that we had new teachers there. It's good for them to see, to work with us, and it's good for us to see what's coming. And of course, the kids really identify with the younger teachers as well. So it was you need a mix, but certainly once there was that large turnover, because there was, you know, I went back several times and people were struggling because they had new teachers come in, but they didn't have the older teachers to mentor. And for a couple of years, there was turnover until it evened out again. So it's very important. It's important for the kids, you know, to see the continuity and to have teachers that they know and trust, and also the continuity of curriculum.
Great. Yeah. So Linda, first, thank you, because you have been very active this year in the House Ed Committee, and the House Ed Committee overall has really taken a hard look finally at education and specifically the funding aspect. So I really appreciate you doing that. I would just continue to ask you and the other reps to keep an eye on the unfunded mandates. I know suicide prevention bill's coming. People are very, you know, enthusiastic about that, but again, it comes with a cost to some degree at us. And I guess my question would be, so I've been doing this in New Hampshire for close to 24 years now. And I remember my first meeting dealing with a legislator, and somebody brought it up then, and I think it still holds true now. We still have a revenue issue in this state. Do you agree or disagree? As far as
I definitely agree to that. I know that there's two camps. One says, you know, we have a spending problem. But if you look at how revenue comes into the state and how we go out, I mean, a lot of education funding is actually through the federal government. And of course they've been cutting back too, but yeah, it is a revenue problem, and it's you know, they say it's like if you are a homeowner, how you balance your budget. Well, yes you do, but if you don't have a definite income, you're not going to maintain that home. And you know, when we rely on sin tax like alcohol and tobacco, and we're looking at marijuana to tax it and regulate it, you know, things like that, they come with a price, and not only do they come with a price, but they're not kind of level funding. They're up sometimes and down other times, so it really makes it difficult. It's really getting down to you know, brass tacks on this.
well, as you stated, with the feds not doing their part and the states not necessarily holding up all of their ends and pushing that down locally, and the majority of that local comes from property tax, it really puts a burden and almost puts a very strenuous relationship between our taxpayers and ourselves on school boards or select boards.
Right. And you know, the school has also, you know, over the years that I talked, from 1969 to now, has not only the unfunded mandates, which, you know, come and go, but just what the schools have to deal with and what they mean to the community. So Kearsarge was a regional, and we spent the first 10 years trying to meld everybody together of the 8 or 9 towns we had in the district, which was quite difficult, students coming from different areas. But you also become the community center, just like this school is the community center. Your buildings are used not just for education, but you know, they're part of the community. So the infrastructure of the building, the school building, you know, is part of the property tax, but everybody gets kind of to use that. And then you figure on top of that some of the problems that students are having. I'm not sure I'd like to grow up in the world right now as a teenager with social media and everything that's going on. I know we've gone to a lot more sports and music and things like that, but it's really important because that's what keeps kids involved and interested in school. You get them interested in something like a sports team, and then you tell them that they have to do well in school to be on the sports team, and it's a hook. And it works, but it also gives them so much more. And the ability to be able to take the kids, for example, that Newport isn't this year, down to the State House to see the State House and to see the representatives, that's something that kids remember. And it's something that makes learning real. And if you're not able to give that to students, give that opportunity to students, they miss out. They miss out in the long run. Or technology. I mean, when I started, we had Trash 80s from Radio Shack, if you remember those with an 8-track tape, that's how you put your computer programming on. You know, and I came from, I had just come in from University of Massachusetts and done my master's degree with IBM computer that took a whole part of the campus. I mean, the computer itself was a whole block. You had these little cards you had to print. So the math teacher has me come in, and I have this, this long paper that I could pull out and just put out all over the place to impress the kids at that time how important computers were going to be. And he says, see, even PE teachers, because I talked to you, even PE teachers have to use computers now. And that was with the trash 80s. So we've come a long way. Now kids have Chromebooks, and we're worried about privacy on the Chromebooks, and you know, it's a whole different world now. It really is.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
You're
Really
welcome.
appreciate it.
Again, anytime, Russ has my contact information. Please don't hesitate to get a time to contact me. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And if you want me to come in the 14th.
All right, we're going to move forward with the school updates, starting with our student rep.
I don't have too much to say tonight. There was a great turnout for the Fall of Donner Dance. It was pretty amazing to see the community come together in such a way. It was by far the biggest turnout I've seen while being a part of NHS. It was awesome. The girls were all dancing, collecting Easter eggs, and face painting. It's a great sight. And more community events that are coming up. This Saturday is Green Up Day. And there will soon be a clothing drive done at the high school and the elementary school. For those who are interested in participating or donating any clothes to the elementary school, there will be a section set up at the Sherburne gym to make it easier for drop-off. And this month, many Sudbury students will be taking AP tests, and I just wanted to say how appreciative I am, and I'm sure other students are, that Sunapee allows this opportunity for students to earn early college credit by funding half the test for students. That's pretty awesome.
The board wants to thank you for your fine service, a gift. So we'll have more time with you, but we just wanted to have it on public record. We appreciate the work that you've done and the big shoes you're leaving for your the student rep that follows you. You've done a really nice job.
Thank you.
You did a great job with the face paint, too. Very talented.
Lots of butterflies.
Yeah, thanks for your good service this year. Elementary school.
Since we last met, the SPTO organized a successful science night on April 4th. We had about 30 families attend that. So we had a very successful math night in March and then the science night in April, so we were really excited about the turnout for both of those, and we're excited to continue those going forward. We followed that up with a science day for all of the students, where they came into the library and did various science and engineering projects. The spring musical, The Real Story of the Little Red Riding Hood, was a big success. It was our first time attempting a musical. Miss Doyle and Mrs. Bailey directed the students, and it was pretty impressive. They did a nice job. Good projection, and it was really good to watch. Next Wednesday, May 8th, there's a Title I information session from 5 to 6 p.m. Families of students who receive Title I services have been invited, but everyone is welcome to attend to find out about reading strategies and interventions for students both at school and at home. We also have kindergarten orientation next Friday, May 10th, from 12:30 to 2. This is a time for us to informally assess incoming kindergarten students so that we can create balanced classrooms for next year, and parents get information about policies, school policies and procedures. We are expecting 23 incoming kinders at this point. Our preschool outreach is holding a CPR and first aid certification class for parents on Saturday, May 18th from 8 to 12. And there were 20 spots for that class, and it is full. So we're excited about that. And then our student showcase, which combines art show, prize speaking, and band and chorus concerts, will be on Thursday, May 23rd from 5 to 7 p.m.
Thank you.
We're getting into busy time.
Yes.
Right, Sean?
Sure. I was laughing as Blaze said we're starting testing. We have a sheet that goes out with all the testing that we're doing. So between AP exams and all our middle schools are taking exams today, and so just lots of testing. If you ask what's May about, we're just doing lots of testing. We had a very positive senior project night before the vacation. We had as is usual the case, just great support from the community as well. Lots of people came and supported the seniors. All of them successfully completed the evening. So one of the highlights each year of our academic year is the senior project night. And once again, it was really strong. We're a couple weeks away from spring elective week for the middle school, and look forward to kind of reporting back. We had a great activity last year where a lot of teachers and students got together, worked on greenhouse, some gardening, improving the outdoor area, outdoor classroom. So we've got another good activity that's coming up in a couple weeks. Exciting news, U.S. News and World Report came out this week. Sunapee was ranked the third best high school in the state of New Hampshire. So excited about that. They've kind of revamped how they score that, so I encourage people to go in and take a look at just how they do that. They've made it much more formalized, which frankly, as a principal, is kind of nice. You really can figure out how they came up with that rating. So good job by the students, the teachers, the community. Who Blaze says we're just very supportive of encouraging kids to take AP exams to spread their wings with a variety of courses. Even today, just looking at testing, everybody, we had some computer glitches, but the kids are just working hard all the time. So just a lot of positive on that. And we'll try to get through May with the testing and enjoy June with lots of fun activities.
Eventually, we're going to be able to use our own athletic fields.
Eventually, yes.
That's,
June.
I'm surprised
I'm
surprised you were Blaze didn't lead with that, where we have outsized participation per whatever the size of our student body. We have unusually high participation and no place to play. So
just some good problems and some bad problems. The good
Yeah.
problems is we have lots of kids who are doing things, and the unfortunate is we don't always have space for them.
right.
But the good thing is they keep coming out and finding things for them to do. They're excited.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. Any questions or follow-up for the schools? All right, thank you very much. Superintendent update.
Where to start? I guess I'll build off of Sean's, and you're just kind of leading with the playing field. So went back and did some figuring today as of May 1st. So we have 402 students in our district. So out of the 253 kids in our middle high school, half of that population is participating in an extracurricular activity, a sport team.
That's awesome.
And not one of them has been able to step foot on our fields.
Not so awesome.
Not so awesome. It's been a ridiculously wet spring. I really appreciate our coaches in dealing with that, and Tom for trying to schedule around those things. But it has definitely been an issue, and it's been an issue in the past, more of an issue in the last couple of years. So, we're going to talk more about our facility district needs, and I know that's definitely something we need to look at. So just continuing along with 402 kids, I just did a little more, broke it down a little further. We have 37 kids right now being serviced with 504s, 49 students being serviced with IEPs. We're serving 5 students from Mount Royal with special ed services right now. We have 17 kids in our preschool program and 19 kids serving Title I. So out of the 402 kids plus the 17 preschoolers, 419 plus 5 brings us to servicing about 424 kids right now in May. So just wanted to give you that quick update. And then again, prepping for summer right now. Sean talked about looking to get tested, and Joe talked about what's coming in. There's a lot of good things coming in June. June's kind of here and we're living it, but the summer's coming too, and we're just getting through those big things for the facility needs with the air handlers and the insulation, seeing what we can do with those fields between now and then, and some other small little projects that are getting done.
That's great. And then just to restate, the 17th is the last day for the,
17th is the last day for students, teachers will be here on the 18th.
Correct.
and then a couple parents asked, and my 8th grader asked why we have to go to school on Monday.
Because that would be the
when we could-
180th day of school.
So since even I'm getting pestered at home, I just figured it'd be good on record to make sure that people, we need the 180th day.
That was
So
day 180.
I'll just let my son know that I batted him out tonight.
Yeah.
So it's a full day on Monday, and then the kids.
It's a half day.
Half day.
It's half day, okay, yeah, because then it's the unofficial Dewey Beach invasion
Right.
ritual, which is really something.
Ritual.
All right, thank you for that. Thanks for the clarity on the numbers, appreciate that. We have an active next section of action items. We have a probably 3/8 of an inch thick, if you printed it out, handbook. So the first one is, what we'll do is we'll just go for a motion, second, discussion, move forward if we need to amend, and then I just started to discuss before I did that. So I'm looking for a motion to approve the proposed SCES and SMHS student handbooks for 2019, 2020, please.
I'll make a motion to approve the proposed SCES and SMHS student handbook for 19 and 20.
I'll second it. All right, second, it gives us discussion. It's a lot to take in. Our new board members probably very quickly, when you got your packet this week, realized, oh, that's when they're talking about all the time in between meetings. It's a lot of reading. Any questions out of the gate or observations, things, comments you want to make? It's a very extensive, well, both of them are very extensive. I didn't have anything particular. Did you want to speak to?
So Jody Chumpub could speak to any specific changes.
Yeah, I'm sorry, looking to him, I should be looking to you. Anything you want to call out? Just my understanding it was maintenance and.
Yeah, there were very minor changes,
Yeah.
and they were, mostly it was things that come up during the year, like we added in a statement about, students in grades K through 2 aren't dropped off at a bus stop unless there's an adult to meet them, because that was an issue that came up this year. So just putting in extra things like that, but no significant changes. in
Yeah.
elementary school.
Yeah, there's just a call out for families that now have, or are gonna have middle school kids. It took my family a little bit, lots of other families get used to scheduling. There's on page 6, there's a nice visual that's very helpful for those families trying to adjust to that. So yeah, it's a big project. Thank you for completing that. So, no further discussion. All in favor of approving the proposed SCES, SMHS student handbooks for 2019-20, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, we got one down. Athletic handbook for 2019-20. Have a motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve the athletic handbook 19 and 20.
Thank you, Ed.
I will second.
Thank you, Terry. Seconded for discussion. Questions, comments about this? Trying to think of how far back it was. So Ed and I, this is our 3rd year, last year in our term. We were, it was a year and a half ago, there was more discussion about things around the grades, grade level, remediation and those things. But that was.
Yeah, there was very little changes with the actual SMHS handbook. We did have a little change on this, which hopefully was highlighted.
Yeah. Yep.
Alex and Brad.
Yeah, page 9 and 10.
And just, I can quickly share with you, what that change is. For students who have a violation of the handbook, the first offense is season long, but can be reduced to 25%. And then it increases for each one. And we've felt that it's really been pretty effective. What we've seen now, however, cases where you might have a minor infraction freshman year, and the worry has been, they have one senior year, and then the way our handbook is, it's a half a year on the second one. And just some discussion on the 25% has kind of served the purpose of, it's a deterrent, wanting to continue this an educational purpose. So the change really has it that instead of being cumulative over 4 years, it's a cumulative over one, and then after a year has gone by, it gives some discretion to the athletic director to kind of go anywhere between that half and the quarter. So again, if somebody had a freshman and then another one of the freshmen, it's in the same year, so they're gonna go to the second offense. But if all of a sudden freshman and senior year, the athletic director could go anywhere between 50 to 25%. So it gives him discretion to come down, and part of that would be certainly based on, truthfully, it'd probably be 25%, depending on the severity. If it was very severe, it would give him some flexibility to go, or her, because a different athletic director could go between 25 and 50%.
So just an estimate, putting on the spot, so what percentage of our athletic population has this had to be sat down in a seat and explained to?
Oh, we explained it to 100%.
No, I know that, but how many is this actually
How
had
many
to be
is it
traced?
impact?
Just percentage-wise, so we don't call out any kids.
Yeah,
Handful?
no,
Tons?
more than a handful. More than a
Okay.
handful. You know, but what I would say, one of the things that I think is positive is talking to the principals of schools. We hold them to a standard that frankly some other schools don't. But at the same time, there's an expectation, and they know what that expectation is. So I think we're comfortable with what the expectations are. Again, the one area we weren't as comfortable is all of a sudden that 50% when somebody might have gone 2 years without any infractions. But it's more than a handful, I would say.
So
20%.
Well, I think it helps magnify the
Yeah.
relevance to it, that
Yeah.
this isn't like written for, there's one offender and it's or it's never used or whatever. Just when we talk about the amount of work that went into this over the last year, it was a significant project and back and forth, and the board asked a lot of questions, and you had a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
Um,
And the students
just
are
think
involved in it, and, you know, we discussed with athletes, we've talked about it at the principal's advisory, and we've done that.
So I'm guessing that this is more of a benefit if a student, let's say, freshman year has a fraction, and then junior year has another one. It's probably helpful to be able to keep them in the program instead of losing a half a season where they may decide not to play anymore.
Yeah, I think you said it really well, is that one of the concerns is when it gets to a half potentially,
Right.
that you might have students who just are not participating. And I think Linda spoke really earlier about how important it is for kids to be involved with a number of things. And so wanting there to be that expectation, the kids are holding up to that, you know, the high standards that we have, but not to such a level where all of a sudden now they're not doing that activity any longer.
Right.
And realistically, the problems probably spiral from there. So you know, really a lot of thought has gone into this, and still wanting to hold a strong standard, but seeing that, again, you used it well. All of a sudden, junior year, and somebody has a minor infraction, and then they're like, you know what, I'm not playing any longer. So not wanting to be in that scenario, and being able to work with the students to do a lot of positive things have come out when we've had, you know, some of these incidents. You know, the students are doing community service. That, you know, there's a long thought process there. So really, a lot of positives has come out when it happens. But we'd like to continue with that. And we've had a lot of support, a lot of understanding from the parents, and always excited or happy necessarily, but they really have done a good job of recognizing the educational component to it. We're trying to keep that educational component to it. And we think this does a little more successfully if there's a second offense with a long range. Again, if you get caught in September, then in November again you're being caught. It's like unfortunately you didn't learn the lesson.
Right.
So that's
And I
why
think we,
we
there's an educational benefit, John, there's a therapeutic benefit as
Absolutely.
well. And I think that's about, so it's not just a punishment. Right? I think when these came out 10 years ago, we were just trying to deter from kids from doing it. And I think we know now that kids are going to make mistakes. Unfortunately, there are a lot of mistakes that kids can make. And as you said, we can turn something that's negative into a positive so the kids can hopefully learn from that. And over a period of time, over 2 or 3 years, if the mistake happens again, not as severe, we can be much more therapeutic than just punish.
And we still, the
There's still
deterrence is
punishment
important, so,
component, right.
so we certainly do have the deterrence in there, which we think is
Right.
important, but, trying to keep it reasonable.
Yeah, the accountability lesson is glaring, which is great.
Right.
So I just want to make sure everybody understood that background. So we had a motion and a second, Carrie. So all in favor of approving the proposed athletic handbook for 2019-2020, please say aye. Aye. Thank you, unanimous. And quick editorializing, clarity on, if you don't agree, don't agree. You need to abstain, you abstain. We can get through those as we figure those things out. There's gonna be things like this that we are likely to be informed on and likely to agree on. There's gonna be lots of things we don't agree on, and we need to all state our opinions reasonably, but keep voicing them as individuals. I want to get a motion to approve the proposed program of studies for 2019-2020. This one is about a 1/4 inch thick.
Make a motion to approve the program of studies 19-2020.
Second?
I'll second it.
Okay, Andy. And again, not all meetings require this many hours of reading form. This is just a big one. Comments or questions around the program of studies?
So I have a question on the page 8 in the extended learning opportunities. I'd like to know where the learning everywhere fits into this, if it does.
So we have an ELO process, external learning opportunity process, where kids can come and ask to go on, and we set up actually all our juniors on an ELO, and actually our senior project is in ELO. When we did our data, there were actually 89 students that participated in ELOs from Sunapee Middle High School this year. Where does that come in? We'll have to wait and see how that gets resolved or gets actually put through the State Department of Ed. It's being voted on, I believe, next month or this month in May. I don't know if you watched the last 5-hour episode, but if it gets pushed through, we will be forced to take any student that comes in from a certified, Department of Education certified ELO project, company, individual, and take that credit. So it's a little bit contradictory to what we do, because right now we decide what credits we award for our students. If Learn Everywhere gets in place, we're going to be mandated to take those credits. We'll see how that works.
Okay. So it's just premature to have anything specifically called out?
Considering it hasn't been,
Yeah, okay.
last month it wasn't looking like it was going to get through the Department of Ed, and now it looks like it might, and so we're still waiting to see.
Okay.
Do that we have a resident house, and
Yes.
the luxury of this.
And there is a piece of legislation to try to stop
There is a piece of
that.
legislation to make sure that any extended learning opportunity, whether it's everywhere or anywhere, goes through the local school board approval. And so the legislation that's being voted on right now came from the Senate and is now in the House, is to demand that the Department of Education go through the local school boards. We just feel that, if you're making the investment, then you have to give the certification for credits, you should be in charge of it. So that's where it's kind of at right now.
Yeah, somebody who was concerned in the community asked if this goes through, what does that do to the quality or the measure of a Sunapee graduation
Well,
or diploma?
it's also the safety and the educational opportunity. ELO is that you have from your school has an oversight. The school takes responsibility for setting that up and overseeing how the student learns something from that. And if you learn anywhere, the state school board, which really, doesn't have that much involvement, just has to take the word of the parent and the place where the student is going to be, and then force you to get graduation credits. So.
Yeah. And just to restate what Russ said, is with the senior project, that is really a community event, it was very well done again this year. That is an ELO, and we have very high involvement in that activity. That's not the only one. So as people are trying to learn and to see as this bill maybe gets momentum and they're trying to look ahead for concerns, is what are we doing now, what are we doing well, how will this impact us when it comes to what are we doing now and well. The extended learning opportunities is a real strength that Sunapee's recognized for, and we've got some really neat examples of that. So if we get to the point of there needs to be a change and an adjustment and all that, we'll be right back at the next meeting to talk through whatever changes
I
we
would
have
say,
to make.
again, from a school standpoint, and thank you, Linda, for interjecting that, I would be really happy if the Department of Ed started signing off on companies and saying, hey, you can send your kids here to get an ELO credit. But let us then determine how we're going to send, who we're going to send, and what they're going to study and how they're going to do, and then let that come back. let them take some of that liability off our shoulders. I'd be very happy to have them take some of that and say, hey, these people are good to go, Department of Labor checks off, everything's insurance